What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Rivian. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down why it is selling off, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So it is down 7.02%. Market's been open roughly around 30 minutes. $10 the low, $10.45 the high. So you had a little bit more of a push higher. A couple of different things did come out. So you had payroll numbers as well as unemployment. Both came in better than anticipated, especially the payroll, 254,000 versus 147,000 the forecast, and then unemployment right below forecast for that. So all in all, that is giving a nice boost to the broader market. And in my opinion, I think a lot of investors kind of neglected what just came up from Rivian and started to buy the dip, if that kind of makes sense. But I'm going to go over what Rivian just came out with. It's a little bit more of a shocker. And I think expectations for Q3 were already very, very low, but not as bad as this. So they did unveil their production and delivery numbers. They also lowered guidance to between 47 and 49,000. Set the date for their earnings, November 7th, and I believe it's after hours at 5 o'clock. But 13,157 vehicles were manufactured and produced, 10,018 were delivered. And so essentially, this screams demand issue, and it's not the best. And based on this, it still does estimate for deliveries to be between 50,000 and 52,000, but still, that's a kind of a big assumption for Q4 and a lot of high expectations. So yeah, essentially, this has a big red flag written all over it. And that's even neglecting the fact that they are burning through quite a lot of cash. So their actual earnings itself is going to be very interesting to watch. So despite the greed that is in the broader market, the momentum, Rivian seems to be lagging quite a lot. So fear and greed index right now is under the greed category. So 71, people's appetite for risk in theory is there, but like I said, Rivian has just been on a path of its own. Even quickly moving over to IBKR, there was one new analyst rating that did come in, and probably throughout the day you'll have a lot more, but it did come in at $16 for the price target. Analyst, I don't believe is that heavily regarded, but still $16 isn't what a lot of people were anticipating. And most likely you're going to have a lot of kind of low teens if I was to give an estimate. So yeah, I think right now a lot of these 20s are going to get killed. And yeah, as a consensus though, $17.59 is that average, and that does represent a 75% upside from these prices. So once again, you can kind of see Rivian as a glass half full kind of scenario. They do have a lot of cash and cash equivalents, so that you might have some value investors kind of paying attention to that, but still I think the writing is on the wall that there is more pain to come. Even right now though, shorts are returning 105,000 shares. 16.85% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 123.32 million shares overall are being shorted. Short score 76.88, and then cost to borrow is 0.86%. So this is why I like to interpret this data, because by shorts returning, a lot of people might say, well, that kind of means that Rivian's down day isn't justified. Yes, it could kind of mean that, but at the same time, with the broader market running, usually the same entities are shorting multiple different stocks, so they're trying to mitigate risk, and one way to do that is cutting some stocks. And so I think that's why you are seeing shorts return some shares and not double down, because right here there's about 1.4 million shares available to be shorted. So probably they want to free up some room going into the weekend, in my opinion, but we'll just have to, I guess, wait and see. Looking at the options, 2.19 million in calls, 1.74 million in puts. 52% of all the options being done today are bearish. Of the call options that are being purchased though, you do see a consensus for it to be around that $11. So optimism has been kind of thrown out the window quite a lot. And then puts, you see a consensus for it to be sub roughly around $9 by the end of next week, and around $10 by the end of this week. So not the best scenario, like I said. On a positive note, I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Positive is that big money is looking at Rivian. So there is a hell of a lot of transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000, like I said, within the first 30 minutes. So that's kind of a good thing. Like I said, maybe just the cash on hand and just their future potential is kind of alluring a lot of value investors in. But based on this, you do see a lot of buying. So a lot of this buying right here, anything that shows as a ask is a buy. So a lot of that is what propelled it higher first thing. So yeah, some institutions saw some value and maybe saw it as a overreaction. What is your guys' thought on, for instance, their numbers? Do you think it's more of a demand issue, or do you think it's just a one-off kind of scenario? And yeah, generally that's I see this as probably the most optimistic of them all. But right now, with that $10.06, it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So $8.95 is going to be the strong support, and then $10.15 is going to be the next strong resistance / target. So throughout the day, definitely need to watch for Rivian to get above this S2. If not, then it's going to break down even further on a technical level. And a lot of my latest videos on Rivian, I've been kind of stating the same thing, is just the fact that it's lagging on, actually that's EVgo, let's pull up Rivian. It's just lagging. It's been below a lot of the key pivotal moving averages since September the 20th. So while the stocks across the board have been kind of holding on to strong support levels, Rivian's been breaking down early on. So it's, I think, like I said, the writing's been on the wall. I don't know if big entities were really aware of all of this in advance, just maybe them having a slower quarter, but I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts? On stochastic, you do see it very oversold, so this kind of an opportunity. So if there is a good piece of news that Rivian does have, let's say a partnership, another partnership, or a joint venture that they're creating, you could see a rush of value investors associated to that, kind of building up the stock price. But number of retail investors at the same time are getting out, and in fact it is below zero, so that does mean that they are losing more buyers than what they are getting. So bad scenario all in all. I really do like EVs in general, and at the same time I like RJ, I like Rivian's products, but you cannot argue with demand issues and just the fact that there is a lot of red flags associated to Rivian. So let me know your thoughts. Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Do you think it is going to potentially touch the 52-week low of $8.26? Or do you think it is going to kind of recover and this is just more of an overreaction? What is your guys' thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And make sure you guys take advantage of this promo. It does give you some 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So that is a kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you guys watching.